Have you ever looked at a hydrangea that should be bursting with flowers, only to find nothing but green leaves? You watered it, fed it, waited patiently, and still the plant refused to bloom. Before you blame yourself, know this: most hydrangea problems come from missing information, not bad gardening. In this video, we will uncover 5 common mistakes that quietly weaken hydrangeas: the wrong container, poor soil, bad sunlight, improper watering, and pruning at the wrong time. Later, I will also show you how soil chemistry can shift certain hydrangea blooms from pink to blue, purple, or back again. So stay with me and tell me your U.S. state or USDA zone in the comments before we begin. That one detail helps me tailor future advice to real climates. Mistake number 1 is choosing the wrong container. Hydrangeas can grow beautifully in pots, but only when the pot gives the roots enough room. These plants do not have tiny, polite root systems. Their roots spread wide, push downward, and need steady access to moisture and oxygen. A small decorative planter may look charming on the patio, but it can trap the plant in a tight space and limit growth and flowering. For most container-grown hydrangeas, start with a pot at least 18 to 24 inches wide with real depth, not just a broad, shallow shape. When in doubt, go larger. A bigger pot holds moisture more evenly, protects the roots from sudden heat and drought stress, and gives the plant room to mature. Another common mistake is filling the bottom of the pot with packing peanuts, empty bottles, or other fillers to save soil. That may save a little money, but it steals root space from the plant. Fill the entire container with proper potting mix so the roots can expand naturally. Material also matters, especially in cold climates. Untreated clay, terracotta, and ceramic absorb water. When winter temperatures drop below freezing, that water can expand and crack the pot, exposing the roots to cold air. For outdoor pots left outside through winter, choose thick plastic, fiberglass, or resin. They are lighter, more durable, and safer for the plant. The rule is simple: give your hydrangea more room, more real soil, and a container that can survive your climate. Mistake number 2 is using the wrong soil and the wrong fertilizer. This is where many careful gardeners accidentally hurt their hydrangeas while trying to help them. First, never fill a hydrangea container with ordinary yard soil or heavy topsoil. Soil that works well in the ground can become dense and airless inside a pot. In the garden, water moves through natural channels, worm tunnels, and open spaces. But inside a container, clay particles settle and compact. Drainage slows down, oxygen disappears, and the roots begin to suffocate. Hydrangea roots need moisture, but they also need air. That is why a high-quality potting mix is so important. Look for a mix designed for containers with ingredients such as bark, perlite, composted material, or coir. A good mix holds enough water to keep the plant steady, but still drains well enough to prevent rot. Now let's talk about fertilizer. Many people think more fertilizer means more flowers, but with hydrangeas, too much nitrogen can do the opposite. Nitrogen pushes leafy green growth. Your plant may look large, glossy, and healthy, but it may produce very few blooms. This often happens when gardeners use lawn fertilizer too close to hydrangeas or add fresh manure that is too rich. For better flowering, choose a balanced, slow-release fertilizer or one that is not too high in nitrogen. Apply it in early spring when new growth begins, and again in early summer only if the plant truly needs support. Avoid fertilizing after midsummer because late feeding can force soft new stems that are easily damaged by frost. The lesson is simple: do not use cheap, heavy soil and do not overfeed. Give hydrangeas a light, breathable growing mix and steady nutrition, not a nitrogen overload. That is how you build roots first, then flowers. This one change can save an entire blooming season for you. Mistake number 3 is planting hydrangeas in the wrong location or too deep. Hydrangeas are not plants you can place anywhere and hope for the best. Most big leaf, oak leaf, and mountain hydrangeas prefer morning sun and afternoon shade. In practical terms, that usually means 4 to 6 hours of morning light, followed by protection during the hottest part of the day. Too much shade can stop flowers from forming. The leaves may look green and healthy, but the plant does not receive enough energy to produce strong bloom buds. On the other hand, Intense western afternoon sun can scorch the leaves, especially in hot southern climates. The plant may wilt dramatically even when the soil is moist, because those broad leaves lose water faster than the roots can replace it. The best spot is often on the east side of a house, near a fence, or under a tall tree with filtered light. Avoid low areas where water collects, and avoid full afternoon sun unless you are growing a variety known to tolerate it. Planting depth matters too. Set the top of the root ball about 1 inch above the surrounding soil. Do not bury the crown or let soil pile around the stem collar. When that sensitive area stays wet, oxygen disappears and root rot can begin. Plant slightly high, let the soil settle naturally, and keep the base open. A hydrangea planted in the right light and at the right depth starts with a stronger chance of blooming. Mistake number 4 is watering the wrong way. Hydrangeas love consistent moisture, but that does not mean they want to sit in soggy soil. Their name is linked to water for a reason. Those large, thin leaves lose moisture quickly, especially during hot weather. When a hydrangea repeatedly wilts until the stems collapse and the leaves hang flat, the plant shifts into survival mode. It may stay alive, but it will not have enough stored energy to form strong flower buds for the next season. But overwatering can be just as dangerous. When roots sit in saturated soil, oxygen disappears. The fine feeder roots begin to die, and then the plant above ground may look thirsty, even though the soil is wet. Yellow leaves, wilting, and weak growth can all appear when the roots are drowning. The best habit is deep, steady watering. Before watering, push your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If it still feels moist, wait. If it feels dry, water thoroughly until moisture reaches the deeper root zone or until water runs from the drainage holes in a container. This encourages roots to grow deeper instead of staying near the surface. Also, avoid watering from above with sprinklers. Wet leaves and wet flower heads create ideal conditions for fungal problems like leaf spot and anthracnose. Instead, water at the base of the plant with a hose, drip line, or soaker hose. Morning is best because any accidental splash has time to dry before night. Hydrangeas need moisture, but they need balance. Not drought, not swamp, just steady water and healthy drainage. That balance is what keeps leaves firm and flower buds forming through summer heat. Mistake number 5 is the mistake that steals more hydrangea flowers than almost anything else: pruning at the wrong time. To understand this, you only need one question. Does your hydrangea bloom on old wood or new wood? Old wood means the plant forms next year's flower buds on stems that already grew this year. Big leaf hydrangeas, mountain hydrangeas, oak leaf hydrangeas, and climbing hydrangeas usually belong in this group. After they finish blooming in summer, they begin preparing the buds for next year. By late summer or early fall, many of those buds are already sitting on the canes, waiting through winter. Now imagine cutting the plant back in October because the dried flowers look messy, or pruning hard in early spring because the stems look bare. The plant may still leaf out beautifully, but you have just removed the flower buds. That is why so many hydrangeas look healthy but do not bloom. For old wood hydrangeas, prune immediately after flowering, usually in summer, and stop before late summer. Deadhead by following the faded flower stem down to the first strong pair of healthy buds. Then cut just above them. Keep the cut clean and angled. On older plants, remove some of the oldest gray canes at the base to encourage new, stronger growth, but do not shear the entire shrub like a hedge. Some reblooming big leaf varieties, such as endless summer types, can flower on both old and new wood. They give you more forgiveness, but even they perform best when you avoid heavy late-season pruning. New wood means the plant forms flowers on fresh growth produced in spring. These types can be pruned during dormancy because their flower buds have not formed yet. The main lesson is this: before you cut, identify your hydrangea. If you do not know whether it blooms on old wood or new wood, put the pruners down. One careful decision can protect an entire season of flowers. Pruning is not just cleanup. With hydrangeas, it decides whether the plant gives you blooms or only leaves. This is why timing matters more than confidence, and restraint often saves more blooms than action ever could. New wood hydrangeas are the more forgiving group, and this includes smooth hydrangeas like Annabelle and Incredible, and panicle hydrangeas like Limelight, Little Lime, Vanilla Strawberry, Firelight, and Bobo. These plants do not depend on buds that survived from last year. They create their flowers on the fresh stems that grow in spring, which means pruning is much safer during late winter or early spring. For smooth hydrangeas, you can cut the stems back to about 12 to 24 inches from the ground. This encourages strong new growth and helps the plant support those huge round flower heads that often flop after rain. Remove weak stems and a few of the oldest canes at the base each year. Panicle hydrangeas should be handled more lightly. Do not cut them flat to the ground. Instead, shorten about 1/3 of last year's growth, remove crowded branches, and keep an open shape. More air and light inside the plant means stronger stems, fewer disease problems, and better flowers through the summer season, especially after heavy rain or humid weeks in your garden too. Pruning technique matters just as much as timing. Every cut should be clean, intentional, and made with sharp tools. A ragged cut from dull pruners tears plant tissue, slows healing, and gives disease an easy entrance. Before you begin, wipe your blades with rubbing alcohol or a disinfectant wipe, especially if you have been cutting any plant that looked diseased. Make most pruning cuts at a 45-degree angle, about 1/4 inch to 1 inch above a healthy bud. Cutting too close can dry out the bud. Leaving a long stub can create dead wood that invites fungus. For stems under 3/4 of an inch thick, use bypass pruners. For thicker canes, use loppers. One old habit you should avoid is painting pruning cuts with sealant or wax. It may feel protective, but shrubs heal best by forming their own callus tissue. Sealants can trap moisture and slow that natural process. For very large stems, use the 3-cut method: an undercut first, a top cut second, and a final clean cut just outside the branch collar. Then step back, check the shape, and leave the plant open enough for light and airflow. This protects structure without stressing the shrub unnecessarily. Now for the part many gardeners love most: changing hydrangea color with soil chemistry. First, this only works on big leaf hydrangeas and mountain hydrangeas, mainly the pink and blue types. White varieties like Annabelle, Incredible, and Limelight will not turn blue or pink because their flowers do not respond to the same pigment chemistry. The key is a pigment called anthocyanin and its relationship with aluminum in the soil. When aluminum is available to the roots, the flowers shift toward blue. When aluminum is unavailable, the flowers shift toward pink or red. Soil pH controls that availability. For blue blooms, you need acidic soil, usually around pH 4.5 to 5.5. In that range, aluminum becomes easier for the plant to absorb. The common amendment is aluminum sulfate. Mix about 1 tablespoon into 1 gallon of water. Apply around the root zone in spring, and never pour it onto dry soil. Water first, apply the solution, then water again. Keep it off the leaves. You can also slowly acidify soil with pine needles, peat moss, coffee grounds, or other acidic organic matter, but those methods take time. For pink blooms, raise the pH closer to 6.0 to 6.5 so aluminum becomes less available. Garden lime, especially dolomitic lime, is commonly used for this. Apply carefully and gradually. Do not push the pH too high, because overly alkaline soil can block iron uptake and cause yellow leaves with green veins. For purple blooms, aim for the middle zone, roughly pH 5.5 to 6.0. At that level, the plant absorbs some aluminum but not enough to turn fully blue, so the flowers often blend pink and blue into lavender or purple tones. Always test your soil before adding anything. A cheap pH kit can prevent serious mistakes. Color change is not instant. It may take weeks, months, or even a full season. Containers make this process easier because you control the potting mix, water, and amendments. Also, avoid planting blue hydrangeas close to concrete foundations or sidewalks. Concrete can leach lime into nearby soil and raise the pH, fighting against the acidic conditions you are trying to create. Change the chemistry patiently, and the flowers will tell you when you are getting close. With hydrangeas, color is not magic. It is a visible report from the soil showing how carefully you have managed pH, aluminum, water, fertilizer, and timing through the growing season. Hydrangeas are not difficult plants once you understand what they are asking for. They need enough root space, breathable soil, balanced feeding, morning light, steady moisture, and pruning that respects how each variety blooms. Most failures come from one small misunderstanding repeated season after season. So before you cut, fertilize, water, or move your hydrangea, pause and ask, what does this plant actually need right now? That simple question can save your flowers. Tell me in the comments which mistake surprised you most, and share your U.S. state or USDA zone so other gardeners can learn from your climate too. If you know someone whose hydrangeas never bloom, send this video to them. One correct change can turn a tired green shrub into the full, colorful plant they hoped for. You have earned a garden that finally rewards your care.